Hey everyone, welcome to another Spotlight session. Today we're joined by Roger Knocker, who is Group CEO of KPI Management Solutions. Firstly, Roger, welcome to Spotlight.
Thanks, Marty. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah,
And a privilege, actually.
and just sort of some outlines. So, Roger, you're in South Africa, and we've been working together for a little while now as partners. And I've just thoroughly enjoyed our conversations around leadership, around consulting. So I'd love for you to give the audience a bit of introduction about yourself and what you're doing at KPI Management Solutions, and we'll kick in from there.
Yeah, great to be on the show, Marty. Thanks for the invite. Just to tell you a little bit about KPI Management Solutions, we help our customers reach their strategic goals. So we get behind our clients and help them to implement their strategic goals. Many businesses are good at formulating strategy, but it's another thing to try and implement it and get the results onto the board, get the numbers to work, and turn around and say, sure, we implemented the strategy, and there it is, and we move the needle. So our role is to really come in support of our clients at a number of levels, in the planning phase, in the rollout phase, and then we have a number of really killer apps that we bring to the party where we really focus on what drives efficiency and cost optimization in a business. Yeah. And we bring that because a large part of strategy is, well, part of it is efficiency, which is the area that we're passionate about, and then effectiveness, where you're chasing down, go-to-market strategies and growth opportunities in that. So we do a combination of both, but a lot of our methodology and tools that we've built and algorithms that we've built are geared to drive efficiency within a business.
Yeah, fantastic. And I think that was one of the things that I really enjoyed the conversation with you, because it wasn't just about how do we work jointly with clients and how do we do strategy to execution. You are very passionate about tech. And I find that sometimes doesn't marry over in relation to how we traditionally consult to clients. Do you want to talk a bit about that? Because I think that's an incredible combination.
Well, if you don't mind me going back almost 20 years, I'll tell the story. I was an accountant. I did articles in PwC, and then I was a group financial accountant. And my boss was a little bit ahead of his time, and he said, "No, we can't do group accounting on spreadsheets anymore." This goes back to 1997.
Yep.
He says, "We need a database, and we're going to implement a database, and we need somebody to implement it." So I put up my hand and I said, "Oh, that sounds pretty cool." And I did it, and it was successful. And I got into that whole data systems mindset, I guess. And then at that time, it was just Y2K. And the IT department was growing, and they said, "Come on board, and we need analytics, and we need BI, and we need all that the good data stuff." Again, my boss's boss was ahead of his time, and he was starting to punt business intelligence. So I landed up going into the IT department, but on the business side, and interacting with the business users, and starting to build analytics and KPIs, and then. Obviously, when you're in a corporate, things evolve. You go into an ERP project, you build a data warehouse, you get into all the fads of the time, Six Sigma and good stuff. I'm not discounting any of that. I learned a lot of that, and it's a combination of business acumen and the tech that I've kind of landed on, I guess.
Yeah, no, I love it. Well, that gives me context to the background, which is very cool, because it also is a big context to stratapp. As well, there's a simple question we constantly ask ourselves, which is, there has to be a better way to run your company, or there has to be a better way to lead your company. And I think it's not all technology, but technology absolutely plays a role when it's the right technology. And it's a big motivator behind what we're doing at stratapp as well.
If I can just jump in there, Marty, sorry to interrupt, but there's tons of research where only about 25% of people call themselves data literate in a business context.
Right.
And this is something that we've picked up on. it talks to your first point. Why am I got this tech bit and this business consulting? And it's really about data literacy. We've got all the tools in the world available to us, and we don't use it. We don't know how to put a present. We don't know how to work with data. We don't know how to analyze data, tell stories with data, derive insights from data, argue with data.
Yeah.
And this is where we're going. This is where we're heading as a world economy. We've got to be data literate. And it's something that's a passion of mine. We're actually building a course at the moment. We're rolling it out. The first pilot, a data literacy course, is how to get the top 10 insights from any set of data is one section of the course. The other section is 25 tips to analyze data like a data scientist would.
Yes.
So we're really working hard at that. And it kind of talks to that blend of tech and business at the same time.
Well, what you're actually talking about as well is how do you take something that maybe a small group of people would focus their time on, and how do we bring it to the majority? How does everyone understand?
That's a really cool discussion.
The data. I call it in straight up the live interactive insights. Like if you can see something breathing, you want to be able to participate right at that moment, not have to wait till next week to meet and then work out what the data means. If you can see the data or you can see the sentiment or how it's moving, why can't we just move it at that moment? And we can move so much more faster than all of the retrospective side of data. And I agree, that's where we're going, right? And I know you and I've had some great conversations on this as well.
Yeah, I guess where Stratap's going is trying to get everybody strategy literate, let's call it. I'll make it up now. But the conversations we've had, you've been saying everybody should have stratapp. Everyone should be involved in strategy. And I agree with that. Just like with data analytics, everyone should be data literate and be able to.
Agree.
You should throw a set of data at any business person, knowledge worker, and they should pick it up and know what to do. Look for trends, look for variances, look for deviations, look for movement, look for mix. It's that kind of thing.
Yeah. And that's what I'm really excited by our partnership, because we're going to do a lot of this work with you in understanding the underlying tone of data. And the question is then, what do we do with it to enrich the people who we can help be even more effective and more efficient at what they do? And I'm super excited about that. I'm going to stay with this tone. And it's interesting what you said, you previous leaders were ahead of the time, right? Because it's those leaders at the front of the bell curve that are constantly thinking this can't be the only way we can do something. There has to be another way. And I'd put our tech absolutely in that bucket. So if, we had a response the other day about app fatigue. It's app fatigue. And it's just a common theme across the global marketplace. There's too many apps. There's too many pieces of technology across a company. Let's just hone in on the leader for a second. And what's your consulting and coaching to a leader as they look at their plan, but then say, well, how do I layer that plan and get everyone connected so we can all move at the same speed? But how do you coach them, or how do you mentor and consult to them to say technology does play a role in that if they're not necessarily technology literate? But they're very good in plan, they're very good at leading, but they're not necessarily saying, well, this is the technology stack we need across the organization to help execute that. How do you bridge those conversations with leaders today?
I think what it comes back to is, have you got the data? Everyone understands that, and nobody hates data. Nobody hates food, nobody hates music. It's just, which food do you like and which music do you like? Everybody likes I'm trying to build an analogy here, but data is noisy, and it's not required if it's the wrong data. And leaders can't get enough of the right data. So I always come back to, if I'm in a consulting engagement, is, what is the data? And there's really two types of data. What has happened, the past, the analysis. Have you got the proper insight of the past? And can you build a model that represents the future with hypotheses, with assumptions, with drivers that predict the future? And I think that's pretty much a discussion that I have with leaders around data, is let's see what the history is telling us. And often if that's well oiled in that, they've got all the answers. And then the second part is what is the forward-looking plan?
Yeah.
And
Hey,
how does that play out in data?
yeah, I love it. And I've got a question on if a leader had, what's your take on this? If a leader had, well, actually, let me give a bit of a different scenario. We had 100 leaders, and you were to give leaders that they had live, not just dashboard, and you and I have had this conversation, not just dashboard, green, red, amber things of saying what's on track, what's off track, but live interactive, another layer of detail below that, and not just results, but action. If you put 100 leaders up, how many do you think would live and breathe in it every single day to help drive their business forward through technology?
I'd say it's 50-50. I can't, in the future, it's going to be different, but I think a lot of leaders still rely on people. So they'd rather just look at Bob and say, Bob, what's happening? Or Bob, what's the plan? Not go in and look at the data themselves. But that's going to change with data literacy, with the app movement, and that leaders will live and breathe inside their data. But I don't think today it's more than 50-50, if that. I would say maybe 30-70. 30.
I would agree. I think you're 100%, 30-70. And it's sort of, it's an interesting exercise in itself, because I spend a lot of time with leaders who want the answer, right? But do they really want to get to the point where the granularity is right at their fingertips? They want to move as fast as the answer can be given. And I would absolutely say it's a 30-70 scenario as well in that. Absolutely. We talk, and you and I have spoken about, the new generation, next generation of leaders. They're very computer literate. They're very engaged app literate. How do we put that into structure for them is going to be a big discussion, because they're so used to just moving fast in many different directions. But the idea is, how do we actually allow them to participate in a way that they can just keep on moving at speed, because they're just so used to moving at speed. We just need to also create some structures to allow them to move 100% at speed at the right thing. And if we can do that, I think we help 30-70 become 50-50, and then ultimately it's absolutely going to be 70-30 the other way around. Yeah, I threw you on the spot a little bit with that question, because I see it every day myself, and I was curious because I think you come from the 70-30 space, knowing how you operate. But I see it at the moment at 30-70 like yourself. So
maybe I was just copying out and doing the 50-50.
Yeah. we got there though.
We eventually got to the answer.
So and I think it's okay. I think that's the other piece we need to give leaders, it's okay to be 30-70. But everyone's really looking to get to the other side of the equation, because we know that's going to help us be able to grow and scale at insane speed, but while maximizing resources, talent, all these things that we want to do as leaders. So it's absolutely going to go the other way. The question is then, how do we get there? And that's why I love talking to you, because you come at it from a different lens. As a consultant that's consulting, but consulting through layers of tech where you can see the most efficiency for them to be gained, which is not just short term, it's also how do we get you to where you want to be. And I love that. I think that's why you and I just get energy every time we meet together as well. So I'm going to close up soon, and one question I would love to ask: if you're coaching a leader today on 3 things that they should be focusing on in relation to how do they take their business into the future, what are those 3 things?
Well, I would say you need to be very clear on your goals. That's the one thing. So spend time upfront setting goals at various levels, at the highest level, at a functional level, at a team level. Make sure that you cascade and that you get alignment. Some people call it cascading, some people call it alignment. But it's all about creating that picture in people's minds about what you're trying to do, not how you're going to do it. It's what you're trying to do. That would be the first thing. The second would be around how you're going to measure it and what are the targets, and how you're going to come up with proper targets that stretch the organization but don't overstretch them. That would be the third thing. And then I think the third thing would be is really about taking action and getting a status of where things are at, on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
In the old days, we used to set goals once a year and then meet each other at the Christmas party, and maybe just before the Christmas party, we would have a quick review.
Yep.
That's not the
Yep.
case anymore. What I'm seeing in my clients is, weekly reviews, bi-weekly reviews is so common now.
Yep.
And, what did we say 2 weeks ago? Where are we? What are the issues? So that quick feedback loop is vital as well.
Yeah. Last question. What would Roger Knocker say to Roger Knocker 20 years ago if there was one piece of advice that you would give yourself?
Sure, Marty. I don't know. If I could go back 20 years and give myself advice, what would it be?
Yeah.
I know what it would be. It would be get super focused.
Mm-hmm.
Niche right down, get super focused, do one thing brilliantly. Don't be the utility back that never makes it to the starting lineup and, can play any position.
Yeah.
Be the best fly half or the best ball carrier or the best whatever. But really be good at that one thing.
Love it.
And,
Love it. Now I'm gonna actually tell a double fib. I've got one more question for you. So you've been using stratapp for a little while. So what do you see in stratapp in relation to your organization, and what do you like about it?
So, Marty, I think for me, I've used stratapp. I feel like in the past I was on the road in the wet with the wrong tires on it, and since I've had stratapp in my business, I've been able to get traction that I've never been able to get before, and see things move forward in a structured way like never before, and really feeling confident. When you're on top of your game and you've got the steering wheel in your hand or the bat in your hand, and you've seen the ball this big.
Yep.
And it's that whole concept of traction and structure, and we know what we don't just go to meetings and for instance, sometimes we take minutes and sometimes we don't. Then we've got a spreadsheet, and then we've got a Word document, then we're sticking it in PowerPoint. We've only got one place to do it now.
Yeah.
And that's stratapp, and the clarity and the momentum we've built. I wouldn't have believed that was possible. My pipeline has never been bigger. I don't think we've ever got more things done. I don't think we've ever hit more targets than when we were on stratapp. So
yeah. Well, yeah. And I know you're very invested, not just for your business, but our business, to actually partner with us. So, I want to say thank you very much, because you continue to push us on areas that we can improve. And to me, that's a great partnership. And that's one partnership we're going to have with all of our clients around the world. So first of all, thank you very much for being awesome partner and a fantastic client, awesome client as well. And I'm really excited about the future together with yourself and the team at KPIMS. So Roger, firstly, on behalf of everyone, thank you very much. I really appreciate you spending time on Spotlight.
Cool, man. Thanks very much, Marty. It's been a pleasure to be here. Cheers.
Right.